If you can hear me, chat. I can hear you in the chat box. Send it there. Good. So you're all welcome to tonight's session. You're all welcome. You are all welcome to tonight's session. So I'll begin to share. I can see many people here. I can see Olabisi, Lola, I see Martins. That should be Mr. Martins. I see Ma'am Willie, Ma'am Teresa Madu, Madam Sophie, and Mrs. Lola. They're all welcome. So I said that if you can hear me and also hear my voice, please send something on the chat box. I can hear you. Oh, beautiful. Thank you very much. I can see that all of you can hear me. And thank you, Mrs. Millicent, for prompting me that they don't hear me that time. So we're going to start now right away. So as we said earlier, excuse me. Yes, so this is introduction to learning performance improvement strategy. All right, learning performance improvement strategy. That's our topic. So, and it's LPIS is a tool of raising school performance index. What is school performance index? We're going to learn it very soon. All right. So, on this training for tonight, just an excerpt, a kind of cut out from the main training, one of our trainings, which is learning performance improvement strategy, LPIS. It's a training that many schools always crave for and request for. And tonight we are learning to, WALT, mean we are learning to identify struggling learners, troubleshoot what is affecting their performances, and provide learning support for their performance improvement. That's the person we're learning. The next thing we're learning is to make LPIS the prime unique selling point for your school. You know, we have many unique selling points. Each school has a unique selling point. If as a school, you have no selling point that is unique to you, what you have is what all schools have. All schools teach, you teach. All schools have laboratory, you have laboratory. All schools have beautiful office, you have beautiful office. All schools have beautiful classroom, you have beautiful classroom. All schools have nice frontage, you have nice frontage. All schools have welcoming and warm and welcoming reception. You have it too. But so all this one I mentioned is their selling point that is not unique. They are general selling point, okay? But every school is supposed to have something unique about you. For instance, there's a school in Ibadan. The unique selling point for that school is music. Parents take their children there because there is no time that the children in that school, almost all of them can play one instrument or the other. The only selling point can be handwriting legibility. All the children, if you have 200 children, about 195 of them will have super duper handwriting. So when other schools, their selling point may be diction. Yes, good diction. Every child there speaks like a typical native speaker. Some other schools, their unique selling point is ICT. They are so good in ICT. They are good in UI and UX. They are good in coding and robotics. They are good in software engineering. They are good in computer practice. They are good in almost everything. They are building app and they're building website. They're just so good there in ICT. There's also one school in Lekki, is an Islamia. That school is known for very strong Islamic teaching and religious teaching. So, and then Amora, and parents who are Muslim take their children there. So what is your unique selling point? What is so different about you? What can make parents to say, oh, this school will die here? You know, they go anywhere. Do you have one? We don't have one. You need to come up with one. I have a client school in Warri. Yes, in Warri. That lady, her unique selling point is that there are always new innovation that she will bring up every time. And the parents are always saying, wow. In that same school, they have many unique selling points. They have handwriting legibility, they have diction and elocution, they have performance improvement. This one, because they've done this training before, they understand this training. Any child that gets to that school, they know how to handle a particular child who was struggling where he was coming from, and they help the child to become a superstar academically. So my question again is, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to the chat room and ask you. I want you to drop for me. What is the unique selling point of your school? I'm waiting. What is your school unique selling point? I'm giving you just a minute to do that. Type, this is our USP. That is our USP, unique selling point. Is anybody dropping that? Anybody dropping that? Please, I'm waiting for you to drop your unique selling point. If there is none, say none for now. All right, so now let's go on over our time. It's raining here, and I want to use that rain, the cooling that rain to sleep on time. So the next thing we are learning is to raise and sustain the academic standard of a class and academic standard of a school. Okay, beautiful. Somebody has given us a response. She said that we are technologically driven school. Beautiful. That's a unique selling point. Yes, that's a unique selling point. That's true. So let's hear yours too as well. So we want academic standard of a class to shoot up, to be enhanced, and also the old school at the same time. Don't forget, I said it's just a cutout of the full training. The full training is coming up on the 5th of April. 5th of April, online. We're going to do online first. We're going to do physical in Lagos later. So please, everything I'll be saying, I want you to note it down. Well, notwithstanding, the recording is being done. We're recording it already. Yes, it's being recorded. Okay. So Communicant is trying to tell us something. We can't wait to read it. Please tell us. We're waiting. Yeah. So note this. Unless mentally challenged, there's no child, there's no learner who can't improve. I also do say, unless mentally challenged, no child is a dullard. Okay? Oh, beautiful. Your school location is okay. That's one. I would like to know what is unique about the school location. Yes. So unless mentally challenged, there's no learner who can't improve. I say it one more time. Unless mentally challenged, there's no learner who can't improve. So if you're here, and from experience, there are some children that have passed through your hands, and some of them you've done your level best, and then they couldn't just pick up, and you say, "Oh, my, these ones they are June 12, right off." There's no child that is right off academically unless a child that has mental challenge. So what happens is that those children you have tried to work on and they do not improve is because there are some tricks, some tips, some hints, some tricks you have not known. That's the essence of this training. So we now have next that we have is note this one too. Every learner competes with self and with none else. So it's also one of my research. The first one was my research summary. This one is also another research summary. No child competes with another child in the classroom. Every child competes with self. So I don't even know where the issue of positioning comes in. I don't know where it comes in. I don't know where it comes in. Say this one comes first, this one comes second. A child that comes first for himself or for herself, not for others. Because in real life, we don't compete. In real life, we complement. In real life, after we have gone through the school, whatever we learn from school, we use it in real life, adult life. And no two people are competing with each other. Everybody is doing his own to become a better version of himself. Either he's a businessman or a salary earner. So the same thing happens in the classroom. That child is not competing with the other child in the classroom. Every child is meant to improve, compete and improve on self. If a child gets 64% in English language in grade 1, the child is supposed to get, you help the child to aim for 62% or 66%. You go from 64% to 66%. In different subjects, you aim for the child to improve in different subjects okay, by a certain percentage. So the child is improving, he is competing with self and also improving with self. Okay, so this training, I'm saying this one because this training is not about how you can make children to compete with each other, but how you can make children to compete with self and improve on self. That's what we're talking about. So then we have introduction. Introduction is a good school does not give up, but would consistently devise ways to help learners to improve in their academics. And when we say a good school does not give up, we say especially on struggling learners, which we otherwise called upcomers. People call them slow learners. They say it's wrong and inappropriate and an insult to call a child a slow learner, right? So as more people dropped their unique selling point, their school unique selling point, as more people dropped it, okay, so only 2 people dropped it. Okay, no worry. We continue with the training. Okay, so the school, the time when we were growing up, it wasn't like this. If a brilliant child entered into a class during your time and my time, the child would remain brilliant all through. First term, second term, third term. The next class is still brilliant. And any child that entered the class then and struggling will continue to struggle. Hardly will you see. That's why you see in those days, even now, as you are a teacher yourself, in those days when you are a learner, you see that there's a group, a batch of students or pupils. They are the one that will be celebrated from primary 1 to primary 6, from JS1 to JS2, from SS1 to SS2. They are the one that will be celebrated. You already know them by name. You know them by name. Okay, you know them, who will come first. And it's very difficult for other children to wriggle in and break through that rank. Why? Because the mentality of teachers in those days that I will teach all of them together. Anyone that can learn should learn. Anyone that does not learn, well, I'm sorry, I cannot come and go and kill myself. All right. So, but you check that was then. Everything is changing. There are dynamics in education that says you don't leave a child the same way the child meets you. For instance, for a class teacher and your class is grade 2 and the child meets you in grade 2 and the average of that child is getting to your class in grade 2 during first term is 72% or 78%. You must make sure that the child, when he's leaving you, the child comes in first term after promotion. The child is going out at the third term after promotion also. The child's average should not remain the same. It must have gone up. No matter how, even if the child enters your class at an average of 48%, the child must at least pick up. Actually, the child enters your class first time, promoted your class first time, and the average of the child is 39%. Let me go that way. If when the child will be leaving you at the third term, it must be that from 39 to 41. It may not even be from 39 to 60 or 70, from 39 to 41. So we are called differently from the teachers that taught us, because in those days, private schools are not common. These are mostly private schools now. I'm sorry, I may not be able to say this one to government teachers, okay, because there are a lot of problems that will hold them from doing this. Like a teacher handles 35, 40, 45 children. I'm sorry, that teacher cannot do anything like what we're talking about now. So as I was saying, right, a good school does not hand up, does not give up, does not fold their arms on children. A good teacher does not do that. A good teacher ensures that all the children that pass through his hand through the first term, the third term, must have improved, no matter what happened, no matter how small, they must have improved. So how many percentage should they improve? We'll let it very soon. Now, this issue of not giving up or folding of arms over children in schools, but helping them to pick up is a must-do that every school which wants to remain perennially relevant. I use the word perennially relevant must embark on. I was talking about a unique selling point that time. This training, LPIS, is a unique selling point for your school. Even if the school beside you is doing the same LPIS, the two of you, you still remain unique in your own way, because LPIS is what parents are looking to buy, to pay for in a school. LPIS, learning performance improvement strategy. They want to pay for it. They want to see their children picking up, doing better, even the ones that are already brilliant, just become more brilliant. It's a must-do that every school which wants to remain perennially relevant. That your school is doing well now doesn't mean your school will keep doing well unless you join the train, you join the wagon of schools that understand LPIS. There's one of my clients' school. Is it one? No, two. One in Warri, no, one in Onitsha, the other one in Enugu. That one in Enugu is the biggest school now. The one in Onitsha too. The other one in Ukwele, beside Onitsha there. Those three schools, they have attended this training. They invited me to their school. They attended it online. They asked me to come over to their schools one by one, more than 3 times, saying we want to learn more, we want to hear it again, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is for you as what you should be very, very serious with, that you need to make sure that you understand this. So for the training that's coming on the way, I advise that you come with your staff to attend it. The first one is with virtual, second one will be physical in Lagos. So the adopting LPIS is otherwise known as no child is left behind. No, it's a common saying. No child is left behind. So now we're still on introduction. Now, the ideal annual learning improvement target. The ideal annual learning improvement target in your school should be such that a performance projection of at least 2% for your high flyers and 5% for upcomers should be set and achieved by child. In summary, is what I've said before, that make sure that year after year, each child climbs up in his performance average. Each year, each class, each term, the child gains more percentage in his average. What do you mean by average? When you have added together all the child's subject scores, and you find the average. So that's what I'm talking about the average. Okay. So it means therefore that if this one's going to be set for children, you that are school leaders here, or if you're a teacher by yourself and you're in this training and you come by yourself, it means that each school is to set different goals for teachers in their various classes to accomplish. Then you say go and teach them. Now, how do you do this? Is that first time when children are wanted to a class, ensure that the broadsheet of the previous class they are coming out of follows the children to the new class they are being promoted to. And then the new teacher that is receiving them is going to run through the broadsheet and understand each child, and then study the class average and add, use space to write +2, +2, +2, +2. LPIS is learning performance improvement strategy. Okay, and if you miss anything, please don't worry. This conversation is recorded and we sent to all of us for free. All right, we say it's a free thing. It's a free thing. So you need to set targets, goals, improvement goals for your teachers, and teachers will set per child. Okay, you get it now. So teachers don't just enter a classroom and then begin to teach at first term. Every teacher must be given a target, performance upgrade. Okay, the class average or the broadsheet that is sent to you Sometimes the children's grades or children's scores and averages are being entered at the back of the diary. I don't know if your school is still doing that. That is the norm. That is the norm. That at the end of a term, that teachers will have to enter, duplicate or replicate the broadsheet at the back of the diary. So that's how the diary will go, or either diary or the broadsheet should follow the children to the next class, so that the receiving teacher will be able to know that, okay, the average of this children coming to my class, the class average is 64.9%. Okay, I need to add plus 5% to it to become 69 plus 5, that's 74. Or if the class average is 42, you need to add to it, so like that. And and the teacher is the work of the teacher or school owner to make sure that each teacher receive an improvement target on a class that he just received in a first time. So now let's talk about School Performance Index, XPI. But there are two types of SPI. We have SPI academic and we have SPI behavioral. The focus now is SPI academic. SPI is a quantitative measure that is being used to assess the overall performance of a school based on learning scores and or average across various subjects and grade levels. What we're saying is that you need to understand your own SPI. You need to understand your own SPI. Please mute. Don't distract, please. You need to know your own school SPI, right? You need to know your own school SPI. I want everybody to mute, please, so that there will be no distraction. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Please, if you are the one that your children are talking in the background, please kindly mute. Please mute. Thank you very much for muting. So that we're already being distracted with that noise. So every school needs to understand their own SPI. How do you find the SPI of your school? Because the SPI of your school tells you if your school is moving up or is not moving up. If your school is improving year after year or is not improving year. But some schools, if you know your SPI, you not run down. Because before you run down, you will have known that they're not doing well. Let's do something. So that is so please let's go to the next one. So when you come for the real training, we're going to show you how to find the SPI of your school so that you will be able to be checking if your school is doing well year after year or not. All right, so I've mentioned best seller factors for schools, all right, and I mentioned first best seller factor I mentioned is handwriting eligibility. Second one is diction and elocution proficiency. The third one is computer ICT savvy of the children. Another one could be the location of the school, as somebody said. Another one could be sport. Another one could be music. Another one could be sound moral teaching. Okay, like some people prefer to take their children to Deeper Life Secondary School because of their sound moral teaching there. So, and I asked a question: what is the unique selling point, which is equal to best seller factor for your whole school? So, if you don't have any, if I ask you now, you don't need to reply me. Some people already reply me. I ask you, what is the unique selling point for your own school? The unique selling point is otherwise known as best seller factor. Do you have at all? There's nothing so special about your school that stands your school out. Like I make people to say they are not going to leave your school. Then make LPIS your unique selling point or your best seller factor, right? Because it's the most rewarding of all of them. Or parents are looking for schools where their children can perform much better than the way they enter the school. And don't forget, it is not only struggling children that can be worked upon to perform better or to improve in performance. Average them too, they need to be worked on to become high flyers. And also high flyers can be worked on to improve and become high flyers of high flyers. So if from your school, all of us, we celebrate schools like Corona, we celebrate schools like Meadow, we celebrate schools like Green Spring, celebrate schools like Religious College. So if there is a high flyer in your school, if that high flyer in your school meets with the high flyer from those other schools, they go quarter. Your high flyer will not be a small fry. It will be a high flyer globally. You see the story of that little girl from, I think, Ambassador College, if I remember very well, that won mathematics Olympiad. She beat everybody in Nigeria, it beat everybody in Africa, beat everybody, even became the world Olympiad mathematician. That girl. When we were interviewing the girl said, "Come, that my teacher always work on me." So, so now, but before we go to that level, let's see the three types, the three learning performance. A classroom is like a stage. Everybody in this life is like an actor. Everybody is like an actor. So whatever thing you are doing, you are performing there. You're performing. Either you're performing seriously, you're performing, like a comedian. So in your classroom too is a performance stage. And we have performers there. And the first learning performers, they are called the high flyers. And the second ones are called the average performers, while the third performers are called upcomers. They are called upcomers. Now, who are the high flyers? The high flyers, they are the ones that when you give them 5 items of questions, the least they will ever get from your experience is they will get 4. Is that they get all or they get 4? You give them 10 questions, 10 items of questions, they will get, the least they will ever get is 8. They never get 7, is 8, 9, or 10. And then when it comes to percentage scoring, the least they will get is 80%. So such children, they are called high flyers, and they're followed by average performers. And those ones, this is what they score. So they score between 2.5 to 3 out of every 5 questions you give to them, and they score between 5 to 6 out of every 10 items of questions you give to them. When it comes to examinations, the least they will score is 60%. Between 79 to 60%, between 79 to 60%. You can see that, all right? Then we go to the other people, they are called upcomers. Please don't forget what I told you before. Don't ever call them slow learner. Don't. That word is derogatory. So upcomers, they are learners who usually score not more than 2 out of 5, not more than 4 out of 10. Can either score 2 or score 1.5 or score 1, or you dash them 1, either one. And if it's out of 10, you can either dash them 1 over 10 or 2 over 10, or you get maximum of 4 marks out of 10. And when it comes to exam, the maximum score they can get is 59%. These are called they're called upcomers. And then we also go into what we call performance differentials. Performance differential is simply the measure of gaps existing between two adjacent scores or two adjacent averages. So it can be in classwork, can be in homework, it can be in test, it can be exam. So if you put 2 scores together, or 2 averages together of one child, not of 2 children, or not of children in the classroom, we said that every child competes with self, not with the other. So we're not being comparison. Performance differential we're talking about is not differential amongst children, is amongst the subject a child offers. All right. So the measure of gaps the child get in between different subjects, or within one. All right, hope I'm back. I don't know if you're still seeing my screen. A call cut us off. Let me check my screen. Okay. Okay, so sorry. So sorry, please. Um, a call, a call separates us. So let me share my screen again. Yeah, sorry for that, please. So, we're talking about performance differential before that call cut us off. So it is a measure of gaps amongst averages or amongst scores a learner gets when being assessed. Okay, and performance differential is an important aspect of the LPIS, right? Very significant aspect of the LPIS. So now, and the performance differentials could be there are two types of performance differential. The first one is called outstanding differentials, and the second one is called default differentials. What do these mean? What do they mean? Let's go to the okay, come. Okay, good. How do I help? Okay, now, okay, let's talk about the default differential. The default differential uh, is such that when you convert, let's use example for instance, because that one is easy to explain to us. Okay, the default differentials is when you look at a child's score in English language compared to the child's score in maths, and you check what the child gets, and the difference or the measure of gaps between that maths and English is more than 2.5. Let's say the child gets 60% in English and get 45% in maths. That is 60% minus 45%. Such is a default differential. I'll tell us what default differentials mean very soon. Okay, but that is how to get it. Now between maths and English, the child there is a 15% differential gap. Then between choose anyone again, maths and science or English and science. Just choose any two subjects and compare and find the difference between the percentage. You get it now. So let's say the score in science is 82. And that's 82 minus 45 of maths, or 82 minus 60% of English language. So that is a typical example of Oh my God. I didn't even know where I stopped, where these things. I didn't know that the thing has popped up again. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Can somebody please remind me of where to what point did you hear me? Madam Willie, if you are there, Madam Willie, please omit yourself and tell me to what point did you hear me? Madam Willie, to what point did you guys hear me before my voice stopped? Can somebody else please reply? Madam Teresa Madu, Madam Sophie, to which point did you hear me before you couldn't hear me again? Who would remind me of to which point did you hear me before you couldn't hear me again? Nobody. Are we all hearing me? Are we all hearing me at all? Please, to which point did you hear me and you couldn't hear me again? Someone should please unmute and tell me.
Okay, comparing the scores, we are talking about default differentials. We're comparing the scores in science 80% and the score in mathematics 45%.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. I'll go back there. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let me take it all over again. So I'll take it over again. Okay, thank you, Madam Mirabo. Okay, now, simply put, the default differentials is such that when you take any two subjects, let's say a child offers subjects like maths, English, science, French, history, social studies, civic education, and business studies. Let's say the child offers that, and you just choose any two subjects that are close to each other, and you find the measurement, the measure of gaps or the difference or the differential, call it anything you want to call it, between two adjacent subjects, and you have see that what you get when you subtract the scores in maths minus the score in English, or the score in English from the score in science, or the score in maths from the score in science, or the score in science minus the score in social studies, or the score in maths minus the score in French, or the score in, you get it now. And what you get is more than 2.5. That kind of child's performance is called a default. It has default differentials. I'll tell us what we are doing is now. But when you look at a child's scores in many subjects, and you take any two subjects whose scores are close together, for instance, mathematics 98%, English 97%, 98, 97, science 95%, and then we have social studies to be 99.2%. Okay, so if you compare them, you see that if you pick any two subjects that their scores are close together, you'll be getting less than 2.5, less than 2.5, less than 2.5. That is an outstanding differential. That child's performance has outstanding differential. Why the other one has default differential? Now, why are we learning these two differentials? Is because if you check a child's score, let's say you check the broadsheet or you check the report sheet, and you see that child getting 100% in English and get 60% in mathematics and get 75% in science, for instance, anyway, you will see that whichever two subjects you group together to find a difference, it is a maddening differential that is there. English 100, maths 60, science 75. If you say 75 minus 60, that is 15. If you say 100 minus 75, that's 25. If you say 75 minus 60, anyone you just pick at all is wide. What this means is that the teacher that handles that class, it's a primary class, it is the scores you get from the children is not the effort of the teacher that makes that score to be, that made that child to perform like that. It is each child's natural level of capabilities that they carry into that class. When you see the differentials close and narrow, it means the teacher used a very awesome methodology, or the teacher gives attention, not general teaching the way we are familiar with during our own time. Because there's a particular method that a teacher will use, and almost everybody in the class will perform. And even if it doesn't have to be 80s, it can be that a child's score is between 60, 60, 60, 65, 64, 62, 68, 61, 60. If you look at child's results, you also see 60, 60, 60 there, different kind of 60s there. If you see such, it's an outstanding differential, because the performance differential is very narrow in between adjacent subjects. Means that the teacher has done the level best, but the child is still picking up. That's why the child is not able to perform beyond 60s. It can even be 50s. Maybe 54, 56, 58, 52, 53, like that. Even though there may be 60 there, because if you get 58 from me, add 60 minus 58, that is 62, right? So that's how to know when a teacher has done his very best. The teacher is using the methodology that is very, very helpful and highly productive. If you come for the training, we're going to delve more into it, onto how to know a teacher that is performance in the, because these differentials do default and outstanding. They are a subtle way to know a teacher that is going extra mile to ensure that all the children in the class are coming up at various levels of their capability. You can also be able to know the teacher that is just doing its own. Even if it's secondary school, this is the same thing, the same brain that is processing everything. Going a child that is brilliant, you will see him getting 100, 99, 98, 97, and being taught by different subject teachers. So for you will now say, if a child is very brilliant, a high flyer, the performance differential is narrow, is outstanding. Performance differential of average child must also be outstanding, meaning the differences must also be narrow. But by the time you see that it is not used, you will know that this thing, something is wrong somewhere there. It is a way for you to call the teacher that is involved, and then call them to order or train them if they need training. Now let's go quickly to instances of performance differentials. We have the first one. It's called intra-subject performance differentials. Intra-subject. For instance, now, a subject teacher in secondary school. This one is very much applicable to them. Okay? Intra-subject, meaning that you need to compare what a child gets, the scores, the performance of a child within one subject. For instance, that's why it's good to give your children in your class, in your school, weekly assessment per subject. If it's not weekly assessment, it should be fortnightly assessment every 2 weeks. If you can't cope with that, no wahala. Just do CA1, CA2. When you do CA1, CA2, let's say CA1, CA2 for accounting. What does the child get in CA1 compared to what the child gets in CA2? Compared to what the child gets in an exam. So the score in CA1 plus the score, minus the score in CA2. What's the performance differential there? Then the score in CA2 minus exam score, or exam score minus CA2, anyone you want to do it. Or the exam score minus CA1. CA1 means continuous assessment, first continuous assessment. And CA2 means second continuous assessment, okay? Depending on which one you do. So when you now begin to, within one subject, please, when you now begin to check whether the scores, the difference in score within one subject is default or outstanding for one teacher, especially in secondary school. In the primary school, that one too works. The child's score within one subject, you need to check it out. So differences between first CA, second CA, and exam is of English language is called intra-subject, is called intra-English performance differential. Then the differential gaps between only mathematics for one child for first CA, second CA, third CA, fourth CA, and exam. Finding the difference between adjacent scores of one subject, mathematics or physics or home econs or creative arts or history within one subject. How wide or how narrow are the performance differentials within one subject? That is called intra-subject. It's important. This will help a teacher to be able to, because all the CA1, CA2, they are all formative assessment. This will help teacher to quickly provide the learning support that is needed for the child before exam will come. Or if the child has, maybe you notice on time, first CA, second CA, then exam, you now find after first time, now saw that, oh, the performance differential between mathematics or English or science or accounting or physics or chemistry or biology or home econs or civic education, if it is a default differential, means that you will not allow something to continue second term. You quickly know what to do, to help the child. So how do you help the child? It is called learning support. Learning support are in two forms, and learning support are in 4 modes. This is what we delve into when you come for the full training. Now let's go to the second instance of performance differential. That one is called inter-subject. Inter-subject performance differential is comparing the gap between 2 different subjects of one child. The next one, so that we know how to quickly help the child. Okay? Not to say, oh, the child is not doing well. No, it's how to quickly help the child before another term will roll in. Then we have intra-class performance differential. This one is not about the child. This one is about the teacher now. Because comparing intra-class means comparing what one child gets to what another child gets. It will tell the teacher, it's like I need to give attention to this child that is not performing very well, so that child too also will pick up. So intra-class is to compare individual children's performance differential. Let's say child A and child B. What is the differential gap between their scores in accounting, between their scores in home econs, between their scores in creative art, between their scores in French, between their scores in computer studies, okay, whatever. So it is to tell the teacher, either to get teacher or class teacher, say, I need to give this child more attention. The child is not doing well. It also helps the teacher to know if a child who is once and who has been a high flyer is going down or not. It tells that teacher that. So the teacher will quickly spring into action. What action will spring into? That one we discuss it only when you come for our full training. Then we have inter-class performance differential. This one, the C is the teacher's indicator. Okay? While the D is the indicator of his professor or head of school or school owner. Interclass. Interclass here thereby means that if you have arms of classes, I was in the school this week, and the school has 1A, 1B, 1C. They have KG2A, KG2B, KG2C, and they have KG1A and B. In fact, they have reception 2A, B, C, D. That's school, right? So for schools that have arms of classes, you use interclass performance differential to check which arm of the class needs to be worked upon, need extra focus. Imagine if you're working on each child and the child is picking up. You're working on a class and the class is becoming better. You're working on arms of classes and the arms of classes are doing great. Imagine the positive impact it's going to be having in your school image. And you can best guess what will happen to your population. Let's say you're just a class teacher that you come here just by yourself, nobody sponsored you, come here to take in this training by yourself. I was once a class teacher. That is about 20 years ago, between 17 to 20 something years ago, right? Classroom teacher, secondary class teacher, and also secondary class teacher, and also subject teacher, as well as primary class teacher. My classes were always super different. If they were struggling before you enter my class, before they leave my class, forget, they will become, almost of them will become high flyers. Because all these things I'm showing us here, I use them then. They are called data-driven instruction. I want to do data-driven academic improvement strategies, okay? So for inter-class, it is the duty of the supervisor or the head teacher to know that this class, why is this class not doing well? What is causing what is called performance leak in this B class or in this C class? And quickly know how to track each child's performance there and know how to render appropriate support for the class, the children in the class, or for the teacher in the class. That is the work of inter-class. Now for next one is called intersection. This is the comparison of comparing nursery section to primary section, and primary to secondary, and secondary to nursery. Don't say nursery, what are you doing there? They are doing serious work because they are doing what is age appropriate. As people in secondary school are doing age appropriate. Everybody is doing age appropriate. After all, they learn English in secondary, they learn English too in the nursery. They learn maths or numeracy in nursery, they learn maths too also in secondary, and they learn maths also in primary. Everybody to his own level. So this is intersection, means that is for school owners or editor who has primary and nursery, or primary, nursery, or secondary, to be able to query that section and know what to do to help that section to boost up. Okay. Now, then the last instance of this is called inter-school performance differential. This one is not our business. This one is the business of a commissioner of education or a governor of education. This is what they use in comparing schools in different parts of a state or a country. So in conclusion, academic performance of each learner in your school must have an ever-increasing status and should always be higher than previous terms or previous years or previous sessions. This, however, involves deliberate efforts on the parts of learners handlers. Who are learners handlers? Teachers, head teachers, professors, team lead, owners of the school, and so on and so forth. All right? Now, before we share the grades, you are invited to attend the full class, Learning Performance Improvement Strategy, LPIS. All right? And it's coming up on Saturday, 5th of April, 2025. And it's coming up on Zoom. All right? So then we have, these are the topics we'll be covering there. We're covering how to bridge performance differentials. We'll be talking about possible causes of performance downturns in learning, effect of performance downturns to a school, effect to your school. What are the tools you can use to diagnose performance downturns in children? What are the remedy for the downturns in performance? 2 types of learning supports that are appropriate for each learning performance. And you also have 4 structures of learning support for improved performance. And lastly, in that full training, talking about the use of performance monitoring graphs. These are what we'll be talking about in the training that is coming on the way. The date again is 5th of April next month. And then when you pay your money, the money is 7,500 per participant, and your payment covers ebook. The ebook is around, I think it's around 90 pages. It's a full book. It's not a manual. It's a real book that will soon be posted. That will soon be published on Amazon. So this is a very good time for you to have the book. Because when it goes to Amazon, I don't sell my books in Nigeria. I don't. I stopped selling my books in Nigeria. So I have only one book I sell in Nigeria. And that's the book I published before I started focusing my books on Amazon. All right. So now we have so your money, your payment covers the ebook, participating in the live session, as well as a certificate of proficiency. Okay. Now, again, the date is Saturday, 5th of April, and then it's for 4 hours training, 10 a.m. to 12. We're going to have a short break. Then 1:30 to 2. Sorry, 10 to 12. We have a short break. By 12 to 12:15, you'll be the break. By 12:15 to 2 p.m. will be the conclusion. So the training fee is 7,500 per participant. These are the things that your money will cover, right? To cover the ebook, certificate, and also the training. And don't forget also that when you participate in the training, the recording of the session that you're paying for, the recording will be available to you for reference after the training, right? So you, even if you have a network problem, you'll still be able to cope very well. Now, this is the end of this session. I don't know whether if anybody has a question or not. You have a question? Commit yourself and ask your question. Anybody have any question, please? You can please unmute yourself and ask. Don't forget that the recording for this one will be dropped on this same training platform. Any minute from now it will drop, so you can always come back. If you come in late, or you have network glitch, you can always cover up. Yes, because recording will give you what you need. Recording comes in two formats. It comes as audio and video. So you can always take the one you think is most ideal for you. So anybody have any question?
All right. Good evening, Coach.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, thank you for the impactful lecture you just gave to us. Though I met the lecture on the way, so just 10 minutes ago, but with the 10 minutes lecture I received, in fact, I know the one of 5th of April will be a superb one.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
So my question is that it's about the ongoing examination. In my school, we started examination last week, one of the days last week. So, this week. Today is just Saturday. So, from the 2 to 3 days that we did examination, so there's there are two pupils, because I teach in primary school anyway. So there are two pupils that I'm working on their performances. So, yet, despite my efforts, I've been seeing some lapses in some subjects. So I don't know. Is there anything I can do, even as we are in examination period like this? So is there anything I can do before the completion of the examination? On one of them. One of them is coping, but one is still, with what I've marked, two subjects that I've marked, she's not still doing well. But we still have other exams to write.
That question, it has two answers. It has yes, there is what you can do. That it may also have no, you cannot do much now, but you can do much during by next term. The reason why I said there are two answers to it, yes, you can do, or you may not be able to do anything now, depends on the level at which the child is struggling. All right. Now we said that one child is coping, that one is not coping. That one that is coping, then the response for that one is yes, you can still help, and you can see that. Just see the child run the child through revisions. Okay. Revision only. Now, So then the child will be able to complete. But if it's a child that the child has a very, very sloppy and very faulty past years in classes, you will not be able to intervene and help the child now. But that one may even take months to recover if you are giving that one full attention. Because the trainer is coming on the way. Now, let me give you, there was a school, one of my client schools in Port Harcourt. We did the training, LPIS with them about 3 years ago. And by the time we started to practice the LPIS, there were some children that couldn't read at all in JS3 and JS1. And before the end of that very term that we did this training, they could read. That's why I say if you come for the training, we show you different ways to handle different children. And also, it also depends on the structure of your school and the spaces that you have in your school. So there are four modes of LPIS that any school can use. What are these 4 modes? We'll give it to you. In fact, by the time you finish the training, you know that you are going back to your school, and all the children that are not doing well, they don't enter success already, right? So the one that is coping, focus on that one. Get as many questions as possible. At your spare time, run the child through those questions, okay? You can ask, don't give the child exam questions, please. Give the child mirror questions, okay? That's what's called mirror questions. Okay, if you want to get mirror questions, you can just scan the question you have. Scan all the notes you give to the child, to the class. Scan all the notes on Cam Scanner, send them to ChatGPT or to DeepSeek, and ask that AI to set almost about 30, 40 of the questions of its own. And then you give the child, write that for the child to practice with it. When the finish the paper, each of the child joining others to begin to play, the child will be doing revision of the papers that they will soon be writing. So that way, you will see the child performing. If the child, we will surprise you, right? But what you can do for one of them, but for the second one, I don't know how so struggling the child may be. Okay, but when we get to the full training, we will show you the nitty-gritty of how to help, no matter how child is struggling. So far, the child does not have mental problem. That child will peak. It's a tested and proven training that we have done for years, and many schools are benefiting from it. That's what I can say about that. Thank you very much. Somebody else, please.
Thank you, sir.
So, Mr. Kim,
Yes,
the video and the audio, the recording for tonight will be dropped now in the next 10 minutes. After you see the recordings being dropped on this very platform that you join. So you can just play them as you relax. You're playing them. You can play the audio and play the video tonight or anytime at all. Thank you.
All right.
Somebody else, please. Alaja Ibukun, Alaja Jamil. Good evening, ma. Do you have a question for me? Ajia Jamil, Shino. I can see you. Okay, who again ask a question for us? Madam Sophist.
But sir,
yes.
Go on. I have a request, but I wanted every other member to contribute or ask questions. That was why I restricted the request.
No, go ahead. Nobody's asking questions. Just go ahead. Ask more questions if you have.
I have a question.
Okay. Go on, ma.
Yeah, it has to do with tracking children's performance.
Okay.
You talked about tracking children's performance, and then I assume that when you're talking about comparing different CA scores and exam scores, there's probably some kind of app that can be used to do all that calculation. So do you have an app or a program that can be used for that?
Okay. When we'll be doing the full training, we'll use raw data we use some broadsheets or some scores of some children to learn the basics of it. That there are apps you can use, there are also softwares you can use. However, for schools that cannot afford apps and softwares, you can also use your paper and pen and phone to do it. So all these ones will be showing you on that day. The apps you can use, software you can use will mention it to you. And if you don't have an app or software, how can you use your raw broadsheet, okay, or your raw Max book to do this? It's so simple, it's so very easy. So there are apps, there are softwares. However, you can also do it without apps and softwares. Thank you very much, man. That's why we encourage everybody to participate in the training. It's just 7.5. Elijah Hakim, what are you again, sir?
Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Okay.
Madam Sophie, please let Elijah Hakim speak first. Then I'll call you.
Good evening, sir.
Hold on for Elijah Hakim.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Go on.
My request. So is I don't know if it will be granted. Some of us like this, we are Alaros. I have two other friends that may want to join in the training. So I don't now know if the training could be bring down to like 5,000 naira. So I will invite my other two friends as well. So
no, it will be brought down to 5,000 naira. As far back as 5 years ago, the training was 4,500 naira. 5 years ago, this same training. The value of the training, if we say 50,000, honestly, is worth more than that. So what we can do for somebody like you that is bringing two people in is to give you discounts. Instead of paying 22,500, you can pay 20,000 naira, the three of you. Okay? Like that. Sure, I've tried too.
All right. Yes.
Alaro, well done, sir. So, over to you. Sophist. Madam
Okay,
Sophist.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Welcome.
I just want to chip in something. Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Very well, loud and clear.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and
Okay,
clear.
sir. Yes, sir. Well done, sir. And thank you so much for the free program. I just want to add something or chip in from my own experience, sir. At times when we just want to sorry, sir. When we just want to work on data like this, we need to be extraordinarily careful. So by my experience, you know how our teachers are, when they see that some learners are not actually performing to expectations, or there is a way, you know, we understand me, they do some of those things. If this case of question, they won't do mirror, they will treat the same question with the learners, even right before the exam. I've seen a case whereby the same question that will be asked was written on the board, and the practice with the learners. So then we have seen a case whereby, you know, when you set questions, the OBJ and the theory, and so when the learners are now attempting the questions, the theory part, they have to go back to the OBJ and copy. And they stopped where there is dash. Let's assume that sanitation is the kinikon when the kinikon is dash. And so they copied it and then stop at where there is dash. At the end of the day, the teacher will just help to put that one word to complete and mark. With these situations and in these situations, so whatever the learners get, so we won't be able to count this as a part of their scores. Right, sir? So in this case, what do we do? What do we do?
Okay.
Because the school admin, the supervisor will always not be in the class with them. So how do we go about this? So how can we
Okay.
assess the learner? So please
Okay.
kindly help us out. Thank you,
I
sir.
will. Thank you. I will shock you. I will shock you in some of my responses to your question. The first response I want to give before I will say other things is that if a child is able to analyze theory, a theory question, and conclude, this question is in OBJ. Let me go back there. That is a brilliant child. That's a child who has read. So it is not a bad thing to have the full question that is in theory as parts or fragments in the objective. It's not. It takes a child who has read to be able to pinpoint, oh, I saw this question before. It's not a bad thing to do that. Okay? That's what I say I will shock you. However, for the other one, you say that they're copying questions on the board. What they're supposed to do is not to copy the real questions on the board. During revision, what they're supposed to do is to use mirror questions. What are mirror questions? It's part of the thing we'll be treating during the full class. Okay? Because if you check very well, Cambridge exams, Cambridge checkpoints for year 1 to 9, Cambridge checkpoint exams that comes up at year 6 for primary checkpoint and at year 9 for lower secondary checkpoint, even for IGCSE. Unlike Nigeria, that it is the past questions that you will use to revise, to prepare for exam. For British exams, you will use both past questions and questions that is even in the future to practice. Cambridge, Oxford, Preston, they have question banks that covers for 3 years or 4 years in line with the ongoing syllabus. Question that they must have said before, they will not set the questions maybe about around 300 or around 400 or 500. Whereas they have only 60 questions to use out of those 500. So they will make it open to children to go and practice the 0400 or the 0300. Anyhow, 60 out of it will come out. And there are questions that are not past questions. So they are mirror questions and also real questions inside. Now, out of 300 questions now, or 400 questions, 340 questions out of 400 questions will be mirror. Why 60 will be the real questions? But no teacher will know which one is real questions. So teachers can use mirror questions on the board. But let me okay. What is the mirror question? I'll tell you when you come for the training. Okay. So it is not out of place for them to use mirror questions, but not the real questions. Okay. Now, lastly, as my response, how to avoid what? But if any of those things that I said, you still don't agree with it, because I'm just trying to advise on global practice. But if you don't, but it's still optional. If you don't agree with it, this is what you can do. Make sure, I always tell you, make sure that your exam questions are ready. All teachers submit exam questions latest by the 3rd week of a new term. 3rd week. 3rd week is the safest. They submit the question by the 3rd week. They give the supervisors and team lead or head teacher, people like you as a consultant, an ample time to run through question, class by class, and what? Also according to what? Subject by subject 2. So we to look at really this type we don't want it, this type we don't like it, this is what we like in this group. You get it now. But if the question papers or question script are being submitted by the 5th week or after midterm, you can't have enough time to run through the questions. And then those questions you don't want will always be there. So my advice is that even especially in this age of AI, it becomes easy. I think many years ago, 2001, 2005, and 6 or 7, there's a school called Graceland in Port Harcourt. Graceland teachers will submit lesson plan, summary note, CA1, CA2, exam questions. They submit all these things a week before resumption. When I say lesson plan, I mean lesson plan for the whole term, the 9 lessons that we taught. So 9 lesson plan will be written according to the number of subjects that they lesson plan on anyway. Primary school, I think they had about 5 or 6 subject lesson plan, not the whole subject. Okay. Secondary school, they write one subject or 3 subjects that they write. So, but the lesson plan will be ready, summary notes will be ready, CA1, CA2 exams will be ready a week before. So, in such school, all this such school, they can't be talking about kind of thing that you're talking about because they are highly proactive. They begin to go through the past questions day by day. That is why in those schools where children are more than 200 and the head teacher is still working, it's because the school owner does not know the work of the teacher. The teacher doesn't know her own work. This is the kind of thing that they do in the office. After moving around, checking, doing class round, checking here and there, they sit down and do paperwork. Go through exam questions, CA questions, go through study broadsheets, study many things like that. There are a lot of work a lot of back end work for head teachers, for principals, for sectional heads to do that can bring a positive impact on this on the school. But because some school owners don't know, some teachers don't know, it's okay. You imagine a principal of a school that is teaching 32 periods and say principal. Guess the level of effectiveness, that kind of thing. So advice is that let question paper be submitted much earlier, so that you give anybody who want to vet it enough time to remove the ones you don't have, the ones that you have. So that's my response. I'll take one last question if there is.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. The time we learn, we subsign is 8 to 9:30. We have 3 minutes more. Anybody have any question? There's someone who wanted to ask a question and she says that she's trying to unlock and then she's not able to unmute.
I have a question, please.
Please go on you, please. Go ahead, ma.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you for the time and
you're welcome.
Yes, please. Based on assessments of learners, right? Using the broadsheets, previous performances and all of that. How there is this assessment that can be done by paper, that's the one for results question. And an assessment that you've done orally. Let's say the child has left a different class from a different year and has entered into a different class in a new year, right? And then the teacher now goes on to assess this child and finds a difference, a great difference from what the paper has said and what the child is saying. So how do we relate the two? Because you get to hear things like he was doing better in the previous class and why is he not doing well now? Stuff like that. So yeah, and that you're looking at it as per coming from that other class and my assessment orally, like giving class activities and all of those things, even one-on-one talk. I see that is an upcoming child, right? But the paper says differently. So how do we relate this?
Okay. I have a friend here on this train that I would like to call to first respond before I don't respond. Maybe I'll call 2 people. A friend and a sister, okay, who are super educator. Madam Sonola, good evening, ma'am. I just saw you now. So Madam Rosegate, please, did you hear that question? If yes, can you help me respond to it before I see what I have to say? Ma'am Rosegate, please.
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, the question is is a common problem actually, where you find out that some pupils do well in the exam, but when they get to the next class, the next teacher is saying, how did this child get here? Because there's some gaps in the child's abilities that make you question. It's the same thing that happens when a teacher says, this child should not go to the next class. He's not ready. But when he does the exam, he passes. And when you try to tell the parents, the child is not ready, the parents will say, but the child passed the exam. You can see the script. So the thing about it is that the assessments, the assessment standards that are used, or the methodologies that are used to assess the children, should never be a singular standardized test. And the criteria for moving from one class to the other should not just be simply the standardized test, the test that you're going to do at the beginning, at the end of the term. So along the way, as you're tracking the child's progress, that's why tracking the child's progress along the way is important. And keeping records of those different kinds of assessment should also be documented. And then you now be able to see, the teacher should be able to see the gaps that need to be taken care of, which is where the learning support also comes in. So a child ideally should not be able to move from one class to the other without passing through all these different assessment methods. And then where the child is not doing so well, the teacher needs to put effort in that area. But that's the challenge. How much effort will the teacher put? Number one. Then secondly, what are the metrics that you're going to use to, what kind of different assessment metrics are you using? Again, it cannot just be the paper and pencil test. Like there's some kids that can't read very well, and you find them in the upper primary classes. How did they get there? You know, how did they actually get there when they can't read? So, you know, there's so many things that go wrong, but I think one of the keys to it is having proper, a broader way of assessing the children, and then having solutions to how you're going to help those children in those areas. That's just what I think.
Thank you very much, ma. Maybe I'll call you back to chip in more. Madam Sophist, what do you have to say about this, ma?
Well, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
To me, if I believe, you know, the learning sequence is different in children, and once some of them go on holiday, when they come back, it is not very easy for majority of them to recollect. So you can't just assess when they just get to the next class. You have to give them time, according to me, before you can assess them, because majority of those, let's say,
how long?
Yeah, it is not just long, like a week, so as to welcome back into the system. Because major, from what I've witnessed so far, at time when they go on holiday like this, when they come back, it's as if we are starting afresh, even for midterm break. So it appears as if we are going to start all over, but between 2 or 3 days, they get back to normal. So it happens like that. So I wouldn't want to, you know, the case study is that somebody is just talking to us about it. So I wouldn't know how it happened. Then the second thing I want to talk about is, you know, when it comes to the children with these oral questions, you know, they used to talk. So in the oral question, you used to get like 90, 100, 100, 100, 100. And so the mathematics and the literacy and the numeracy, you know, they get like 50 or 40 something. So when you sum everything up, the total, at the end of the day, you get them having like 80%. So somebody having 80%, how will you now tell the parent that this child won't promote to the next class? So the oral kind of a thing is actually doing another wonder entirely. That when the child, so we need to focus on the, especially those schools that use standardized tests for lower cadres like that, the preschoolers. So we need to watch more on their numeracy and their literacy more than any other thing they can do. So that's just my thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome, ma. I would have called Madam Shunola, but I don't know how much of what we have done tonight that she was able to meet. I would have called her too, but I don't know whether she got the question that was being asked. Madam Shunola, did you get the question that LPIS asked? And is there anything you want to talk? LPIS, I'm coming back to you very soon.
Okay, sir.
Madam Shunola, are you there? Okay. Now let me go back to you.
Hello.
Okay,
even having I came in when you rounded up and you were talking about opportunity to listen. So I didn't even get to come in when you started. But then when the question was about to be asked, I was thrown out again. I just got connected.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
No problem. But you know our drill now. You know our drill that you can always fall back on the recording, right?
Yes, I'll definitely do that. I've been engaged in a number of meetings. So I'll just...
You're talking about OMEP. One day like that, Abby? Like one of OMEP's people, Abby? OMEP's
right? Yes, what about OMEP?
And there's also one OMEP mama inside here tonight. I'm trying to
Oh, yes. I've seen Mrs. Odelola is here.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
We know ourselves.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Because Odelola too is a powerful OMEP mama like you. All right.
The past national secretary. Mrs. Shunola was the national secretary for OMEP Nigeria.
And she told me that.
Yes.
She told me that.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening. God bless you, my sister.
Okay. On LPIS, if I get it very well, yeah, it's like okay. Let me ask this way. Is your question being answered the way you want it to be answered, or there's something you want to pull out?
I would have said so, but when the last person that spoke said something about when they go on holiday and back, sometimes it's as if they have to start all over. But it's not, my assertion is not something that happens as soon as they came back. You know, half of the term has passed, and yet, you know, and then you see.
I suspected that.
The parents come saying
that's why I asked Madam Sophist, how long do you think the new teacher that received the promoted children should wait to ascertain that how did the children get here? That's why I asked her. So now, and you have already said it, that half of the term has passed, the children are not coping. Now let me add to what the two people have said. Now, somebody mentioned methodology. One of the respondents mentioned that. Now, it may probably be that the other teacher, listen to me though, I'm giving you different case scenarios. It probably be that the blame is for the teacher who they were with in the previous session or previous class. The blame may also be with you. Now, how can the blame be with the teacher or be with you? Let me start with you. If the teacher that handled them in the previous class has a better methodology than you, the children will not perform as good as they were with her. Let's say that teacher was a teacher that believes so much in learning through hands-on, and you are a teacher that believes so much in explanation method. Of course, the children will not be getting what they're getting from the other person from you. That's the first possibility. That's where the blame may come to you, not will come to you. Second one, if you're going to give the blame to the teacher, to the former teacher, is this. Let's say the former teacher he uses the same methodology like you. Everybody's shy explain to children, or you're using the same methodology, hands-on, or lecture method. And yet, when the children got to your class, they aren't performing as much. Yeah, even you give them enough long group, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, even they come back, you're not trying to check the broadsheet. What the children got from former teacher on the broadsheet that was sent to you that accompanied them at the beginning of the first term. So what they're getting in the classroom, in the classwork and homework, even in the midterm test of the first term, they did not at all reflect the true picture of what's on the broadsheet for those children. It means that those scores is either they are being falsified or the question they set, just like Madam Sophie said the other time, the questions they set were too watery. I was going through some question papers for this very time we are in a school in Ibadan. And there was a question that I faulted. And I told the teacher, come, I got you. I can see only 4 topics inside this 40 questions, 40 objective questions. The lady said, out of the 9 topics that are meant to be used to set questions, use only 4 questions, only 4 topics. So I say, question 1, Jesus is the son of Mary. True or false? Question 10, Dash is the mother of Jesus. Question 14, Dash gave birth to Jesus. Question 22, Jesus was born by Dash. Do you get it now? Just changing the structure and the English. That's what I saw there. So if such questions were the one being said by the former teacher, and then you are a teacher that knows the onion, there will be a problem. And such teacher that did such exams, and the head teacher passed the exam for typing, for printing, and to give to the children, the fault is not on that former teacher, it's on the head teacher who did not do his work. However, if it's a case of setting substantial questions or falsifying results, the broadsheet, you raise it up if your head teacher is somebody who is good enough and knows what he's doing. And so this is what I noticed. The reason is not to witch hunt the other teacher. It's for the head teacher to go and keep an eye on that teacher to ensure that the teacher is doing the right thing. And then subsequent exam question papers will be well vetted for quality. That is what the teacher has to do. They get it now, so that next time they won't pass you on our own children, and then you begin to struggle with them. You get what I'm saying now? So that's so, but we cannot particularly ascertain. But the possible scenarios are what I've painted. Let's say the last scenario whereby the teacher did not do a thorough job and then give them arbitrary scores. Auntie, sorry is your name. Why? Because you are the one that will carry the thing. It is now your duty that you have taken children that are not good in your class. So you now have to sit down and work the children to excellence. How will you do that? Join us when we are doing a full class, okay, on the 5th of April. So we will show you everything I need to know. Thank you very much, and God bless you. We have come to the end of, we are already 30 minutes offshore. Okay, anything, I say something, please. On you.
Yes, please.
You're saying something?
No, I was saying thank you very much for the
You're
explicit.
welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So I thank you very much on your piece. Thank you very much, Madam Sophie. Thank you, Madam Ibukun. Hey, sorry, I'm training. I don't know why. But we're marching.
Thank you, sir.
Willie Utibe, you didn't speak also. Even I call your name. Madam Teresa Madu, Alaja Akim, Madam Bosse Rabo, Madam Intamola, Mom Intamola, Sonola, Mogaja Tubenga. You look like a priest. Are you a priest? Then Mr. Jam Yakubu, Cynthia Ayabola, Rosalind Chidebere, Lost Abbott, Madam Aratu. Thank you very much for your presence tonight. Don't forget that the recording will be dropped for. So those of you, I know some of you that just came in, you have not missed anything at all. The recordings, audio and video will be dropped right away on the platform in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Same thing goes to the food training. When you come for the food training, either you're absent or there are network glitches, you won't miss anything at all because we always drop the training recordings for this. And that's how we do here anyway at Edunorms Consulting. Once again, thank you very much for your presence. I will appreciate your coming. If you are interested in participating in the in the full training, please, I will drop my number now. My number right away there on the platform. So please just message me on WhatsApp and tell me I'm interested. Then you make a payment. Then we give you your ebook, your e-manual, and then we put you on the group, on another group where the things is going to hold because it's holding on Zoom. God bless you. If you bring somebody, if you bring somebody else, maybe you bring 2 more people to yourself, we're going to give you a very good discount. We'll give you good discounts for the 3 of you. Thank you once more, and God bless you. Have a beautiful night rest. Thank you.